One of the great privileges I have ever had in introducing our guests is a gentleman who synonymizes and epitomizes equality, justice, and standing up in particular for girls' rights and their education all around the world. Despite his humble beginnings in the beautiful Swat Valley of Pakistan, Mr. Yousafzai has never been deterred from standing up for what is right and being a fearless leader and voice for girls, women, and education of all children, regardless of their creed, colour, or any other background that they come from. Despite his incredible success and his fearless stand for education, he remains one of the most humble and giving of individuals, and our conversation and the fact that we have him here today is a testament to that. We've had the pleasure of hearing of the name Malala and her incredible journey, but the story that came before Malala and a father who truly let his daughter not only fly but soar above the clouds is both inspiring and incredible one, and it is my great pleasure to introduce Mr. Ziauddin Yousafzai. Thank you so much for joining us. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you for such a, big compliment, such a, encouraging introduction. Thank you.
No, at all. And it is all true, and the privilege and the honor is mine. Thank you for your time, and thank you for being here.
You're welcome. My pleasure, my honor to be with you and to have this conversation with you.
Thank you so much. Your journey starts in Pakistan, and can you tell us about growing up there and what that was like for you?
Yes, so I'm Ziauddin Yousafzai, and the world knows me as Malala's father, and I'm so proud being father of a daughter. I grew up in a small village in the northwest of Pakistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And I grew up in a very traditional patriarchal society, in a very patriarchal family. And I grew up with 5 sisters and an older brother. And I could see, I'm now 51 years old, so like as a child I could see in that village, in my life, growing up in a family of 5 sisters, 2 brothers and my parents, I could see 2 sets of parenthood. One was for the girls and one was for the boys. So the boys were special, and my father was special for being man, and the boys were special for being boys, for their gender. And the girls were ignored. They were like the lesser beings, they were marginalized. They were not that valued as the boys were valued. And I could see that in food, like the best part of the food, when a chicken was cooked, was given to the boys. We had more pair of clothes, more pair of shoes as to my 5 sisters. And the worst discrimination that my 5 sisters went through was their deprivation from education. And that changed the destinies. So I was able to achieve education. I was sent to school. My brother was sent to school. But none of my 5 sisters could achieve education. And there were 2 reasons. Number one, that there were not enough good schools, not even schools for girls. There were education facilities for the boys. So that was one thing, like the government was patriarchal, you can say, investing more on boys than girls, and it's still there, the same behavior.
Why didn't you? Why have you become almost this figure of the opposite of that, of standing so fearlessly for women, when in a sense that's not in your benefit to do so?
So education is the tool that helped me to be the kind of person that I am. And I tell people that education transformed me. Education changed me. It changed my inner being.
Yes.
And it made my inner being beautiful. It gave me values. So that is the most important reason that education changed me. But also I was from the very beginning, I was like a boy who himself suffered some discrimination, some a bullying from other boys. And I was very angry at that time when I was not treated fairly because of my dark color or because of my stammering. I remember that some of the boys, they mimicked me, that hurt me. Some of the teachers even didn't treated me with fair treatment because I was dark in color. I didn't belong to a rich family. So I saw discrimination to some level, and that sensitized me about discriminations in any form.
But how was that received at home? So when your father saw you doing that, and maybe even your mother, was that well received?
My wife and I, we both grew up in a patriarchal family, but we together were able to create an egalitarian family, a family that believed in equality. And then when the children came in our life, so that was quite a journey.
Yes.
And that journey was like becoming an example, or that family life of me and my wife together with our children, that was criticized by some of the people in community.
Can you tell us a little bit about having a stammer? You've already touched upon being bullied for that.
I do stammer, but I do speak.
Yes.
And this is very important for all my friends, for all the people who have this problem of stuttering or stammering, that if they do stammer, they should be not afraid of being a stammerer or stutterer. They should speak up. I was one of the few people who spoke against Talibanization, their ban on girls' education, and their inhuman atrocities against the people of Swat. And I spoke with my stammered tongue, with my broken words, but I spoke the truth. And it's better to speak the truth, to stutter the truth, rather telling lies with fluency. One of the hardest hurdles in my student life or as a child that I faced was my stammering. And this was something that I was concerned about, and this was something that at some stage I was kind of, what can I say, angry that why am I not able to speak like other people. I remember that my mother took me to a saint, and he was very famous, and he lived on the top of hills. He had long hair on his ears, and very, very old man. And I think he gave my mother 5 rupees also, something, and also he gave her a ball of sweets, and he spitted on it, kind of, and then he told my mother that he should take some of it every day. So that was tried even, and then my father also tried raisins, raisins.
Yes.
And when I go back to my past as a child, that what helped me in overcoming my stammering, are not overcoming but stammering but still speaking. So the first thing that the first person who helped me was me. So that passion was very important.
Absolutely.
That was the first help. Second was my father, because he was a role model and he was a great speaker. And I remember that when I was in grade 7, I saw a boy, his name was Khurshid.
Yes.
I saw a boy, and that boy was like speaking in the morning assembly, and he impressed me very much. After that, there was another school competition, like a declamation contest.
Yes.
And I asked my father to write a speech for me. And in the beginning, my father was like flabbergasted. He was shocked, bewildered kind of that, oh, what is this boy asking for? Because he could see me that I was a stammerer.
Yes.
And he told me it will be difficult because when you talk to me, you stammer a lot. So would you be able to give a speech in assembly in a public place? And I said, okay, you write for me and then I'll see. And I started speaking. My eyes were open, but I couldn't see anyone because of the pressure. And I was very, I can't say scared, but there was kind of something because it was my maiden speech.
Yes.
So I was very anxious. And when I finished my speech, I spoke very well. And after finishing my speech, when I sat on my chair back, so our maths teacher, he came to me. And as the ceremony or the speech competition was still going on, he whispered in my ear, Ziauddin, you spread the fire.
Malala is world-renowned throughout the world.
Thank you.
She is an individual whose name inspires men, women, girls, boys. She certainly is her own person, and what it stands for is now synonymous with education throughout the world. And in a show of humility, as you have explained, you with great pride are happy to be known as Malala's father.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't think anything more beautiful could be said about who she has become. You were becoming politically active during a period that Malala was growing up. Can you give us insight and explain about her love for education and the discussions that she would have with you?
She was in love with education. She loved education. She loved to learn. And as a toddler, when we were living nearby the school, before she could walk, she started talking, speaking. So she learned to talk before she could walk. And I remember that when the school was off and the children gone to their homes, teachers, and she in the lap of me or her mother or a friend, she was there in the empty classrooms. She started speaking to the empty chairs in her own language. So she was like born very close to school, then grew up in school.
Yes.
Because we shifted to the 2 rooms apartment above the school. Like the first floor, the ground floor was the school and the first floor was our home. So she was like growing in a school. School was her home and her home was a school.
Yes.
You can say that.
Yes.
So she was a very committed student right from the very beginning, as a nursery student, kindergarten student, like washing her socks every day, washing her scarf every other day, then like very regular and punctual. If she got late, and the reason would be me or her mother not preparing the breakfast on time. Then she cried and told her mother that you have to go with me and you have to explain why I was late, because you made me late. I was not late.
Yes.
So such like kind of girl she was, very punctual, very regular, and loved her education. She had this charisma.
Yes.
She had this charisma around her personality right from the day one that attracted people from the neighborhood. I remember that men and women in the neighborhood, like they fought for her to be at their home.
Yes.
She was lulled and she was like loud, and she was cared by everyone. Yes, so yeah.
She's incredible.
Yeah.
There came a moment with the arrival of the Taliban and the banning of girls attending school, and we've heard how much Malala loved education and what it meant for her. Can you tell us about that period of her life and the courageous stand that she took against this oppression?
When Talibanization started, so I, being an activist, an education campaigner, I had to speak for education, especially for girls' education.
Yes.
But in our family, like father, like daughter,
Yes.
Malala was also very vocal. And in the beginning, to be honest, it was like a co-curricular activity, like a debating activity for our girls.
Yes.
Media guys used to come to schools, and they obviously most of the people were quiet. They didn't want to talk against Talibanization or Taliban. And if they said something, they used to express themselves in alignment with Taliban. So few people spoke, but I must say that Malala's voice was the most powerful one.
Yes.
And in the beginning, it was like a co-curricular activity, but later on, when Taliban became more and more violent, they started bombing and burning schools. Then it was a conscious effort to raise voice.
Yes.
And when other girls who were also speaking for, were also interviewed by media, they stopped speaking because they grown old, or their parents did not want them to be speaking. So the only girl who remained with her voice in the valley was Malala.
Yes.
And I think I was supporting her, of course, but to be honest, she was unstoppable. If you go through her speeches, her interviews before the attack on her, you will realize that this girl is unstoppable.
Absolutely.
Who can stop her?
Yes.
The fire that she had in her, or the eloquence that she had, or the clarity that she had about the right to girls' education, that is so clear and that is so powerful that you say, oh no, this voice can't be silenced.
Yes.
So in that particular circumstances, when Taliban bombed and burnt more than 400 schools, and then they banned girls' education, and they threatened parents that no girl, old or young, should be going to school after 15th of January 2009. That was the time that Malala, she what can I say? She rose her voice, and she raised her voice with such a powerful way that it spread like a crescendo in the whole country.
Yes.
She wrote the BBC blog, and I remember that she wrote that blog with a pseudo name, like with a pen name,
Gul Makai.
Gul Makai. And I was like surprised that one day I went to the classroom and a girl had the printout of the diary. And she told me that, oh, some girl from Swat Valley is writing this diary and this is so true and so good.
Yes.
And I knew that who was writing that, but I kept quiet. I just smiled. I say, oh, great. Well, this girl must be very brave. So, I mean, she wrote the BBC blog. Then when the school were closed and Taliban banned girls' education completely, so to document the last day of the school, like class dismissed was the New York Times documentary for which Malala and I, we, our family, we volunteered ourselves. So, and she spoke to every platform that she could. Yeah. Taliban, I mean, I must say this, that this girl, this one girl with a book and with a voice and with a wisdom and with reason, they could not tolerate her activism. They were unable to listen to her voice. And rather than coming with an argument or rather than changing themselves, they came with this assassination plan. They wanted to finish her forever. And they wanted to kill two birds with one stone, to silence me as well, to kill her and silence me, God forbid. But as we say that man proposes, God disposes. That day when on 12th October, that day on 9th of October 2012,
yes,
when she was attacked on a broad day, midday time, and they wanted to assassinate her and to silence her forever because she was raising her voice for her education and for the education of more than 50,000 girls who were deprived from education. That girl survived. She stood back. She raised her voice. And now she is speaking for 130 million girls who are out of school all over the world. So, of course, we all spoke, but Malala's voice was the most powerful voice. And as she herself says that when nobody speaks, only one voice can bring a big change.
And if you could kindly tell us so that we can all learn about what courage Malala had on that day.
It was the second day of her examination. And after the completion of her examination, so they were waiting for the school van. It left the school and it passed to a side road towards our home. So the two people from Taliban, they stopped the car, they stopped the van and asked. One boy, he kept the driver busy in talking. And the other boy, meanwhile, he climbed up the bus from the back side and he asked, who is Malala? The driver asked, who is Malala? So, the first boy kept the driver busy and the second boy, he climbed up the van and asked, who is Malala? And Malala was the only girl whose face was open, like she was not hiding her face with scarf,
yes,
with shawl. Other girls had hidden, covered their faces. But they looked towards Malala when the Talib asked.
Yes.
But they recognized her and they shot 3 bullets. So one bullet hit her on the forehead, left side of her forehead, and the bullet went down through, it cut down her facial nerve, eardrum, and embedded back it went back into her body 18 inches, I think. It stopped there in the skin back. Later on, they took it out in Peshawar after a few hours. And the other 2 bullets, they hit the 2 other girls. like one was hit by hand and the other on shoulder. I received a call, one more call, and my friend told me that yes, your school bus has been attacked, and Malala with other two girls have been shot, and they are wounded, injured, and they are in the hospital ICU. And when I reached there, so Malala was laying on a stretcher. She has a bandage on her head with blood spots on it. I bowed down to her, I kissed her on forehead, kissed her on cheeks, and kissed her and told her, you are a brave daughter, you are my brave daughter, you are my brave daughter. And anyway, but she was, obviously, she was like semi-conscious or kind of, but she responded me in a way that I could hardly felt that, yes, she heard me or she knows that I'm there, but she went into coma. She was taken by helicopter from Swat to Peshawar to CMH, Combined Military Hospital. The bullet, its trauma is so huge that it has impacted the brain and it has gone to the other side and the brain is swelling. And we need to do something. And these were his words. He told me that we must do surgery lest you repent that I had a chance and I didn't avail it, or we didn't avail it. And what could I do? That was the only thing to be done. And I, with a shaky hand, I put my sign. Yes. And again, the doctor brought the civilian doctor. At night, he himself went and brought him. And together, the two doctors, I have dedicated my book to the two doctors. So both of them were there, and they started surgery from 12 onward, and they did that surgery for 5 or 6 hours. But when they finished the surgery, the two doctors came out, and we were all there. People from the village, my brother, my cousins, friends, and we gathered around the doctors, and they were standing under a tree. Yes. At almost 5 to 6 a.m. in the morning, and the doctor said, oh, we did our job, what we could do. We removed the part of a piece of skull from her head, and we let space to brain to swell, so it will save her brain. And I said, oh, you removed the piece from skull. So it was like shocking news for me. Yes. He said, yes, we have kept the skull piece into the tummy, and after 3 months, it's not a big deal. We will put it out and put it back, and she'll be fine. Don't worry at all. But still, we were very, it was something that you think that, oh, part of skull has been removed. It's really, really severe and intense. Yes. The post-trauma care was not good in Peshawar, so that's why she was airlifted to the hospital in Rawalpindi, Islamabad, and she was there for a few days, and then on 15 October she was shifted from Pakistan to UK to the Kiwi hospital for further treatment. The surgeries that were done in the UK, like she got a surgery for her facial nerve, she had cochlear implant for hearing, all that helped. And then she had a lot of physiotherapy as well. She is, perfectly restored, well-restored health. That restored her health very well, rehabilitated very well.
If you had to say anything about the doctors, the nurses, the surgeons, the physiotherapist, all of the NHS staff who looked after Malala, what would you want to say?
My one word should be gratitude. I'm grateful to them. I say them a big thank you because we must be grateful and thankful that we are living in an age, we are living at a times where science and technology is much advanced.
When Malala woke up, what were her first words? And do you remember how you felt when she was returned to you?
Her first words when she woke up she woke up maybe on 15 or 16 of October, and her first words were, "Where is my father?" And where I am. So these were her first questions. And she didn't know what had happened to her. She had only dreams. One blessing in disguise is that she doesn't remember the actual incident,
Yes.
attack on her. So she is least traumatized. And she was provided with a psychologist or trauma trauma therapist.
Yes.
And she was very bored with her. She didn't want to have any think about trauma.
Yes.
So luckily she doesn't remember anything of that particular incident. But when she woke up in the UK, her first words were, "Where is my father?" And she was very worried about me, whether I'm survived, whether I was with her on the bus. So she had different dreams.
Yes.
Then she has told all those dreams in her book. But it was really a time that when she was on her own in the UK, we were still in Pakistan.
Yes.
We came and we joined her on 25th of October, 10 days after. But meanwhile, she had known the story from the doctors, especially from Dr. Fiona, who came with her to the UK as loco parentis. She acted like a parent for her.
Although attempts were made to not only silence but permanently remove the obstacle that she had for people who would spread terror and oppression and stop people, she not only survived, she recovered, she was rehabilitated, she stood proudly, was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, and she is the youngest recipient of that wonderful honor. And even now and today, she stands and gives inspiration not just to girls, but to men, women, children all around the world. And she's a symbol of hope and incredible bravery. And I'm sure you won't mind me saying, just like her grandfather, her father, she stands and speaks beautifully, even now, and continues to inspire. And what a blessing that is, and how grateful we all are to have her. And I want to thank you for sharing not just her story, but it's important to know the story that came before, and that is of Ziauddin Yousafzai. You have a very popular and famous book, and if I was to ever be able to try and describe your achievements, I wouldn't be able to. But what any person would be able to proudly say of you as a father is you truly let your daughter fly, and she has flown so very high. Thank you so much.
You're always welcome and welcome.